Hello, hello, hello. Hi. My name is Xavier Lee. I come from a small little island called Singapore, and I run a Plus partner agency in Southeast Asia mainly. So today's agenda would be talking about my journey in Shopify, the C economy in overview in general, and also the mega trends in Southeast Asia, and why Shopify Plus for Southeast Asian merchants. And there's also the unique collaborations that we have with partners in Asia. I love them dearly, and we have a good collaboration with a lot of Asian partners. So this photo up here is very dear to me and very inspiring. It's not because Jason Bowman back then was 18 years old, right? But this was the very first Shopify meetup that was in Singapore in 2017. So from there, we were inspired to go all into Shopify, 100%. So we just focused on Shopify and Shopify Plus, and we made a business around it, and a profitable business. So our journey as a Shopify partner was in 2016, we were a Shopify partner, and 2017 we became experts, and 2018 we are a Plus partner. So our trajectory for that was quite good, and in 2022, as of today, we are the leading Plus partner of choice for C merchants. Here are some of the brands that we work with. There's a lot of them, but mainly into two buckets mainly. It's either direct-to-consumer brands in Southeast Asia trying to do cross-border, or international brands coming into Southeast Asia selling cross-border. We have a presence across Southeast Asia, so our headquarters is still in Singapore. We have presence in Malaysia, Bangkok, and Indonesia. So it's quite easy flight for us. It's about 2 hours across everywhere. I can get on a flight from Singapore as a hub into meetings, and I can do a day trip and back to Singapore. But this is made possible because of the partner managers that we had. I treat them as a business partner myself, asking them questions about the inroads into Southeast Asia. How can I even localize some of these markets, some of those things. So I think if you have a business, if you have a partner manager that you work with, ask them questions, buy them a drink at least, right? So after a few drinks, they will be able to open up, loosen up, and tell you some insights about Shopify roadmaps or why Shopify is looking into investing into some markets. So Southeast Asia alone has about 589 million of population. In comparison to ANZ alone, ANZ is about 31 million population. So that's about 19 times of what ANZ has as a consumer. So we have Indonesia as the biggest at 274 million consumer, all the way down to Singapore, the smallest at 6 million. And a total of that, we have about 440 million internet users. So people who have a phone, get online, get on TikTok, get on Instagram, and have at least gone onto a shopping site. 350 million of us have at least bought one item online. And as an average across Southeast Asia, 80% of us have at least know how to add to cart and check out. That's a minimum. And if we were to look at the GMV per sector across these four buckets, so e-commerce is one of the buckets. We have transport and food, which is like your Uber and Uber Eats, and online travel, and also online media, so like your Facebook, your TikTok, and whatnot. E-commerce makes up the most GMV sector, with 2021 at 120 billion US dollar. So imagine selling $1 of good to every single Southeast Asian consumer, you get about 120 billion US dollar. And it's projected in 2025 to be 234 billion US dollar as a market. But Southeast Asia is predominantly made up of marketplaces. The two biggest marketplaces across Southeast Asia will be Shopee and also Lazada, right? But different markets will have different marketplaces, which is localized into the verticals that they are in. So for example, in Thailand, there is a Power Buy, which is focusing on consumer electronics only, or like even in Malaysia, there's Zalora, which is focusing on fashion, fast fashion. So some of them you could be familiar with, like in Indonesia, you have Tokopedia. So they just got into a merger with Gojek, so now they're called Togo. And you have second-hand markets like Carousel. So with digital consumption that has been accelerated by the pandemic, it's not a one-off phenomenon for Southeast Asian. We have been trained for the past 3 years to be able to identify the add to cart button and check out successfully, right? So some of the C mega trends. There are, across 2021, if you were to see Indonesia, where Indonesia is unbanked, most of them, where on e-commerce, they rely on at least bank transfers. You have about 70 billion US dollar being transacted online through bank transfers, right? And this is a phenomenon across Southeast Asia. We have about double digits margin across every single markets in Southeast Asia. Here are the search volumes for merchants indexed all the way back to 2017 about queries on merchant-related and also seller-related. So simple things like how do I set up e-commerce, how do I sell into marketplaces, or how do I set up brand.com. So as you can see, Indonesia is doing 18x of search volumes across from 2017 until now. The average basket during the pandemic grew also from $52 to 56 US dollars, with 3 main categories being monopolized in. So one of them will be household appliances, consumer electronics, and also home offices. The other next 2 category would be the baby products, and a category that I mostly increase most of the AOV would be the alcoholic products. And then why Shopify Plus? So one of the big issues in Southeast Asia is e-com fraud, right? So with marketplaces, we have about 44% of orders in Indonesia being fraud itself. So one of the use cases would be if I choose to do a COD in some of the Southeast Asian markets, when I receive the product, I don't like it, I will just reject it, and then they just return the products immediately. So there's a lot of those issues of COD in marketplaces. And what do we like about shopping online? So one of the things about majority outbound parcels from Southeast Asia would be shipping to US, UK, and also Australia. And most of the inbound parcels are from US, South Korea, and China. So South Korea mainly being led by the K-pop culture. We like health and beauty products from Korea because we want to look like boy bands from BTS and girl bands from Blackpink. And China product mainly is either they manufacture most of the products that we have, and then we resell them to the world. So with that, you can see customers in Southeast Asia are looking for authentic products, and we are not bothered by shipping times. So as long as we get authentic products, we are good to go. So the first takeaway that you can have from this is, as long as you find a merchant who wish to build a brand.com and you can convey how to do an authentic product, like being able to convince the merchants to buy online, that is one of the key proposition for merchants selling into cross-border, right? There are a lot of, I would say, fraud sites that would be selling, for example, like the same product, but they would just rebrand themselves into another similar looking product, and then they would sell it into just for fraud, basically. The other thing that we see at the moment is also diversification of sales channels. There is a lot of investment not being done in marketplaces at the moment because marketplaces in Southeast Asia is very mature. We have a lot of, I would say, brand aggregators that's investing into 2 verticals, health and beauty specialists, and also D2C brands. So here are some of the aggregators that we have in Southeast Asia. So we have Rainforest that's based in Singapore, Limitless Technology based in Malaysia, Una Brands in Singapore, and also Hypefast. So across 4 of them, they have raised about a total of 150 million US dollar to be able to and their mandate is just to buy D2C brands. And just to give you an example, for Hypefast in Indonesia, they have about over 25 digital brands in-house. They would optimize their operation, they will also optimize their site, their marketing and everything. Everyone has the same playbook and just keep on selling. So I would say, if you're looking for D2C brands in Southeast Asia, you need to be able to work with the merchant who's looking for an exit. So work with them, tell them, or especially work with the e-commerce aggregators, understand what they are looking for in terms of requirements for an exit, put that in place, make sure key metrics are there. For example, like AOV, returning customers, work with them, and then you should be able to get some of the D2C brands selling and for an exit. And some of the unique collaborations that we have, so Jumpstart is in the position to help our Asian partners grow. And we love the collaboration that we have for Asian partners. So in 2019, we held a regional partner meetup in Penang. I think Amit talked about this. So we had partners across Vietnam, India, Malaysia, Hong Kong, coming into what I would call like a mastermind kind of class, where we talk about the e-commerce in Asia, and we talk about how to solve those localization. So there were partners from Pagefly, Amit was there, and also partners like from Boost Commerce was also there. So then the pandemic hit. We did our next round in Vietnam in 2022, which was hosted from our friends from Pagefly, Cecom App, and also Boost Commerce. So it was in a whole room of about 80 over app partners inquiring about how to grow in the Shopify ecosystem. So we were there giving them insights on what some of the merchants are looking for and how they can grow their business. We also had a lot of one-on-one with some of the app partners. There were other one-on-one photos that we can't show. Yeah, so we had one-on-one with Boost Commerce talking about how do we grow the business together, how the roadmaps. And we had an unofficial partner meetup in Singapore. So we hosted some of the dinners in Singapore so for some of our friends. And also, lastly, we were in Kuala Lumpur for Atomy. So Atomy is a buy now, pay later. So we went to Malaysia asking them about what is the Malaysian market is like. Is buy now, pay later a thing in Malaysia? What is their revenue like and all? So I would say the opportunities outweighs the uncertainty. The common denominator across all these opportunities are the ability to drink. I think if you are in Southeast Asia, I am certain that any of our app partners and myself will be able to host you for anything. And you can ask us about the market conditions and the e-com business in our land. So I would say that's my LinkedIn profile. If you want to know more about happy hours in Southeast Asia, just let me know. I can get you connected. And yeah, thank you. Do you have any questions that I can help with?
What's your drink of choice?
It depends. I would say vitamin A is my thing. So as long as you have alcoholic in it, so that's my vitamin A. Yeah.
Thanks, Xavier. Can you talk about when clients come to you and talk about marketplaces, does that factor into the build? Do you have to build out integrations as well? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so when merchants come to us about saying that, because they are so-called migrating or putting up as another omni-channel into marketplaces or brand.com, we usually have to talk to them about the strategy for marketplaces. So in marketplaces in Southeast Asia, you don't really get any customer data at all. You're basically renting the customers from the marketplaces. So whenever you have a new product being dropped, you won't be able to market to any of your customers. Basically, either you run ads in marketplaces and you shop to them. So we have what we try to talk to them regarding the strategy would be either put out your cheaper products into marketplaces and sell your main product line on your brand.com. That always works. And whenever you do send out your products in marketplaces, do get links back into brand.com. So regarding integration, there are app partners in Southeast Asia that already has integration for marketplaces that you can use. But there are the quirks and things coming up from Shopify itself. So there are other fields or meta fields that you need to send into marketplaces, but most of the time you just need to sync through Shopify, and then you'll be able to push into marketplaces. Yeah. Thomas, you had a question?
Thank you, Xavier. From Shopify sellers, which country in Southeast Asia do you see the most growth?
So for ourselves, we are very heavily invested in Singapore. So primarily our business now is about 60% in Singapore. We see the rest of Southeast Asia, mostly like Malaysia, as the next area of growth for us. But Philippines is very interesting, and also Thailand. So 40% of our business is outside of Southeast Asia. But in 2023, we're trying to flip that. We're trying to do 60% of our business outside of Southeast Asia and 40% in Singapore.
Are they doing mostly domestic shipping or international?
Mostly cross-border. So they are shipping across to either Singapore to Malaysia or Malaysia to Thailand, mostly that. But we only have a certain tier of customers that are selling into US or UK. Yeah. Cool. No questions? All right, thank you.